We are live. We are live. Do you know, I watched back that, what is it doing? I'm just looking at it going live. I think it's got me saying, wait, give me a few seconds. Anyway, never mind, I'll sort that out. There we are. Yes, I watched back me going, we are live, and I irritated myself. So I might have to stop doing that, Gary. I felt like throwing things at the screen saying, shut up, you stupid woman. Anyway, hello, lovely YouTubers. If you are watching us live or if you're going to watch this on playback, welcome to us here at CraftyMonkies. My name is Rachel. This is the lovely Gary. It is Friday. Hello. It is a tea time tutorial.
Yes.
Got it?
Yeah.
I never have my tea.
I do have you've got your tea.
I know, I've got my tea, I've got my quote, I've got my thread. I am ready.
Ready. Good.
Oh. So, yeah, so if anybody has not joined us before, let me just tell you what happens. Basically, the lovely Gary here is the professional, the expert, the teacher, the guru. I am just the novice, the idiot, and I sit here. And Gary teaches me things, and we do different things every week. So we might have a little bit of mindfulness thrown in with some art and creativity. One week we might have some sewing. Another week we might have a guessing game where we look at sewing tools and I guess what they are. If you want to look at our previous playlist, it is all there for you in our Tea Time Tutorials playlist. We've probably got about, what, 6 or 7 episodes now, I think, Gary?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
It is, it's really good. So have a look in our playlist. If you are a serious, I'm just going to move that. Look at that. It's a good job I've got a nice picture there on my phone, not some,
not some body part.
I know. Can you imagine that we're going out live now on YouTube? Wouldn't surprise me if it did. If you would like to, if you're a serious sewist, do check out the other playlist, because we've got things like blocks, we've got traditional blocks, we've got some improv stuff, we've got projects. Gary as well has made some lovely things like a case for your brushes and all sorts of things. So do have a look at the playlist, because we've got some serious sewing action on there, about 100 videos on there for you to have a look at, and some lovely interviews as well with people like Gary, but also people like Pat Sloan, I know, serious sewer indeed, Zach Foster, some lovely American guests, some English guests. So do have a look at our playlist. But today we always begin with a little bit of a mindfulness moment. I will put a timestamp underneath. So if you're not into talking about a bit of life and mindfulness, it only goes on about 5 minutes. You can skip straight to the sewing, where we are going to be doing embroidery stitches today. Ooh, if I can thread my needle, that's the first test, how to thread a needle. So we will be doing that. But the first thing we should say, of course, Gary, is R.I.P., rest in peace, lovely, lovely Queen Elizabeth. Sadly, she passed away from this earth yesterday. If you're watching this in a year's time, of course, you were watching the recording of this now. But yes, wasn't it? Do you know, I found it it was an odd moment, Gary, because do you know how I find out? I mean, Instagram. I looked on Instagram and I saw a picture of the Queen and I thought, what's going on? And then I put into Google Queen Elizabeth, and then it popped up saying she was poorly at that point, but all the family were being assembled, so you knew it was bad. And then my daughter came downstairs about an hour later and said, she's died. And I don't know the woman. I never met her. I've had nothing to do with royal circles. I wouldn't say I'm particularly a royal fan. I've never stood there and waved a flag and gone to see the weddings. But I did feel connected to her somehow. I mean, since watching The Crown, I've had so much respect for her, because she really was thrown into a position that she was never due to be put into. And she offered her life to service, and she gave it. She was working the day before she died. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what is significant is we've known no different. She's always been there for the likes of me and you, who are under 70 years old, because that's how long she was just on the throne for. And so well before I was born, you were born, she was already queen then. And it did take me back yesterday when they said, she was 25 when she was when she became queen. And my gosh, I just think, when I was 25, I couldn't even handle a mortgage at that age, let alone being head of state. I mean, it was just incredible. And I just think it was a funny feeling, because like I just said, it was someone that had always been there, and you knew it was coming because she was getting frailer. She was 96, and you could see from her Christmas broadcast that she'd lost a little bit of weight, and she was looking thinner and frailer. And we'd had these occasions where she was due to do an opening or be somewhere, but she couldn't because mobility issues, which I don't know, that covers a sort of like a multitude of things. So we don't really know what was going on there, but I know that she was getting older. And so then, like, you know, we've all lost grandparents, and like myself, I've lost my mother. You know, as they're getting older, you know that it's on the horizon, but when it actually comes, it is still a shock. And you're still like, oh, you know, oh, that's it then. That's what it felt like. That's it then. And then, of course, they played all the stuff on the news and the programs and everything. It was full of it, chock-a-block. So I must admit, you know, I had planned to do a few things in the evening to do things. Well, nothing got done yesterday evening. And I had to get up extra early this morning to just quickly get that job done before I could get on with my day. But it did, and it did almost felt a little bit like low, a little bit sad. And yeah, it's sort of like, well, what happens now? So we just sit back and watch how it unfolds, as in the ceremonies, and there's a protocol and everything's in plan, even down to the music playlists on the radios. That's all been planned for years. What would click into place? All the presenters yesterday, they all had their black ties and their black jackets, which had been in place, ready for that day. So yeah, it was a shock, but not unexpected.
No, not unexpected. As you say, I think you could sort of see she was getting, you know, getting ready to leave. I do think as well that when Philip died, I think when you've been married for so long to that person, and he had been her rock, and he had been by her side, particularly because she was the queen, and he, you know, he'd been through all of this extraordinary life with her. I think really there is something in the body that just says, I'm not going to stick around very much longer, because I think it's like a heartbreak, really. So, you know, off she's gone with Philip, as she used to call him, Philip. But yeah, it was a sad moment. But rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. I put on the Crafty Monkey Instagram, you know, a very well deserved rest.
Exactly. And I said exactly the same. I heard it on the radio. I was driving back from the supermarket back up to here where I live, and it came over on the radio and I said, you know, like, rest in peace, but also I remember to say, God save the king, because that's what we've got to get used to now. And we've got to get used to so weird. King Charles III. And so
whenever I hear King Charles, I think of King Charles the dog, you know, King Charles Spaniel.
With all the hair.
That's the person that goes in my head.
I do. I mean, you're right, like King Charles II, and, you know, with all that hair, all that curly wig that he wore. And you do think of that. So now we've got another King Charles III. So we've got to get used to that. And I still, you know, I've been hearing things, and people still slip up and say Prince Charles, and it's not Prince Charles no more. It's King Charles III.
I wonder if he's been practicing with the crown already. I wonder. Probably a bit too soon. Well, anyway, do you know something, Gary? I think now I won't do my quote now, because it would be going on for another 5 or 6 minutes. So I'll save my quote until next week. But I did have it ready. And it was something about the soul, but that will be in next week's episode. So definitely. I think we should get crack on now. That's right. English. Let's crack on with our sewing.
We're going to do some hand sewing. And I just think, you know, maybe if if there's a somber bit or a moment where you want to sit and reflect, the best thing to do is some hand sewing, because you can absolutely absorb yourself in hand sewing. And it is, I find, sewing by hand and doing embroidery or just a hem is quite a nice way of just sort of like sitting, relaxing and reflecting. So I think it's a very appropriate thing to do today. And what I want you to do is, and I think I've already sent you the project, which we're going to do blanket stitch. So we're going to do it quite a large scale blanket stitch, because that's what makes it, it's going to make it easier for me to teach you and for you to pick it up. But it can get quite small, and we're going to show it for both as a finishing edge, so you can finish a blanket or a edge of a quilt or something. You can even do it as a decorative stitch around the neck or around a cuff or something, but also you can use it to applique. So that's what the heart is. So I'm not going to get you to do the heart to start with. So the heart is something, we'll go over to that in a minute, but I'm going to get you to just do a blanket stitch on a decorative edge on this piece of green felt. So we're using felt because it's quite easy. So the green felt's really quite easy to use. So I'm going to just fold it in half. I'm folding it with there's not a right side or wrong side, but just the raw edge to raw edge up like that. So we've got like it in half. And we're going to just do a blanket stitch along that edge, and that's like double thickness, because we're going to use just a bit of ordinary, just a little bit of thread. This is what we call DCM thread. So it's like an embroidery cotton, and you can either use it like full thickness, which we're going to do for this because it just shows up really, really well. Or you can, if you want it finer, you can untwizzle it and you can pull out strands. You can go 1 strand, 2 strands, up to, I'm not sure how many we've got in this one, probably about 4 or 5 strands in total. That if you wanted to split it down, we're not going to split it down, but obviously if you're working on something smaller and finer, you would. So you're going to thread a needle which has got a largish size eye to it. Now, remember when I said about before in previous little tutorials, we thread through the eye towards something. We don't thread in midair. You put the needle down so you can see where that eye is, and you can thread through there. So we're just going to thread the needle, and I'm just going to put a very simple, just a knot on the end of the strand. So it's single, we're not doubling it up. We never really, for embroidery, you never, or sewing, you don't really need to double the thread up. You just do single thread with an over, just a little extra bit that goes down to maybe just past your wrist. And then the other part should only be, if I bring my arm into play, should just be suburbia about your elbow. Remember, and I've said before, no point in having yards and yards of thread. It doesn't make the job any quicker because you don't have to, because you think, well, I don't have to keep refilling my needle. It won't help you because it's just extra. Every time you put it out, you've got to go that extra distance if it's longer. So, and it has a tendency to get knotted up, sort of knotted up as well. So have you threaded your needle up yet, Rachel?
No.
Well, I tell you what.
Thread.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to get you to thread your needle first, and I'll wait for you to do that and then we're just going to go, as I said, we're just going to go at a top, along the top there.
Hang on,
now,
the other end.
But anyway, so this is how do we learn? So we sit next to someone and they do it, you do it. And that's probably how I learned, because I used to sit next to my grandmother and she would show me, well, both grandmothers actually, and they would show me how to do a certain stitch or how to do it. So it's about you observe. But the other thing I did send you a little sheet of paper with lots of little examples of how to on as well. So that's so we're visual learners, but some people like to see a diagram as well. So this, what Rachel's got there in her hand and she's wobbling around on the screen, there we are, is just from pages from a book or a page on the internet that will show you how to do it. So you can both learn now watching a video, but also you can find a diagram for a lot of embroidery stitches on the internet or from a book as well. Okay, right, Rachel is ready. You've got a knot in your thread there at the end?
No, I didn't do that bit.
You'll need a knot, so a nice knot so it doesn't pull through straight away. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so the idea is that we're going to put we're just going to go across the top edge here. And so I'm going to come in from behind. So I'm going to come in, and I'm coming in from behind for probably about, let's say, if I look at the needle here, I'm probably about a centimetre down from the top. So I'm going to just come through and pull that through. So the knot just comes through and stops at the bottom. That's it. You've got a lot of thread there, Rachel. You're all right? Yeah? Okay.
Never mind, never mind.
Okay, right. And then I just want you to go, this is just to start off. So you've got a starter point. You're just going to go directly behind and you're going to bring that needle back where you started. And this is just going to, that's just going to anchor on. So you're going to go in through the back, come out through the front, and there should be a loop. Then a loop starts you off on the top.
Oh, you want me to? Yeah. Okay. So okay.
Come on.
Come on, Rachel. Come on. You can do that bit for goodness sakes. Okay. Hang on. Bear with me, caller. Okay. Yep, done it.
Right. That's it. Okay, lovely. All right. So that's anchored and that's in, and that really just is so that the first stitch is going to be is a loop, and it just looks neater, and it's a good way to start. So what I want you to do, then this is just the starting point, is I want you just to go get the needle, and I just want you to go under that loop.
Yeah.
Like so. So you've got so it just starts. So you've got a starting point like that. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, right. So we're going to work from right to left, depending on what you prefer. And it doesn't actually matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. Some people like to sew from left to right. So it's up to you. I tend to like to go this way, but we can try later to go in the other direction. All right. So what you're going to do is you've got like the fabric here, which is loose, and you've got your needle here. You're going to go in and you're going to go, so you've gone 1 centimeter down. So we're going to go 1 centimeter across, and then we're going to put the needle in like so. So it comes out the back again this time. 1 meter down, 1 centimeter down, one. And then we're going to come up, but we're going to push, we're going to loop this thread around the back of the needle as it comes round like that. So if I show, I'm going to show you both bits there. So you're going to like that. So I've come through the back and then I've come out, and then I've taken this bit of thread here and I've just looped it around the back. Like
Hang on a minute, because I've pulled my needle through now.
Yeah, I think you have.
I did. I pulled my needle. Let me just go again. Let me just go again. So hang on, I'll just start again. So I just go. So I pull my.
Let's bring you up on the screen. I've got to see you.
Hang on, yeah. Let me just. Sorry, I'll put mine up on the screen. Replace. Right.
There you are.
So I pulled my needle out. So I pushed my needle at the back like this.
No, from where are you? No, go from the front, Rachel. So you're coming from the front.
I'm on the back. I'm on the back.
Oh,
hang on. Let me just go like that. No, because then it's. Oh, like that. That's it. Yes.
That's it.
There you go.
Yes, that's it. So needle from the front, and then that piece of thread from the other one. Loop that. Loop it behind the needle, underneath the needle. That's it. Now pull. Yeah. Now pull your thread through. Like that.
Like this. Please do a loop. Please do a loopy thing. I think I've done something wrong. Hang on. No, because it's just gone over like that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's because you made a bit of a mess up on the first one, but that doesn't matter. This is just practice, but you've made a good start now. Okay, right.
Good.
Now,
okay, I'm ready.
Let's go again. So going from right to left, you're going to bring the needle and you're going to put the needle through again.
Hang on.
Down.
Let me just replace the spotlight with you so I can see. Right, so.
Okay, Rachel. So you're going to go in again, equal distance, down and up through.
Yeah.
Needle comes through the back.
It does.
Needle comes up and you loop that piece of loose round.
Yes.
That's it. You've got it, Rachel. I can see that. And then you're going to pull your needle through.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. You're doing that one more.
Yeah.
Right. Again. So 1 centimeter along the top and 1 centimeter down. And then you're putting the needle through. And you're going to loop behind. That's it. Oh, my God. You're doing it faster than me now. Look at you.
Look at that. Well, that's me, Speedy Gonzales.
How many you got now? You got 2, right? One more. Let's do one more. Let's do right. So the idea is to try and get equal distance between them all. That's it.
Oh, that was a bit short, that one, but not bad. Distance is pretty good.
Not bad. So you can see now, if you went right across the edge of that, you'd get a lovely, like a nice sort of blanketed edge there. And the idea is that they should be equally spaced apart and also the thread coming down. So it looks like little squares running along there. Yes. But along the edge, the top edge here, you've got nice thread running along. Okay. Yeah. That is just along a flat edge. But what I think is a nice challenge is to then do it round a shape.
Okay.
So we're going to do this round this shape of the heart. So what you can do is just, because you're just practicing, just cut your thread, just cut the thread for the time being. That's it, with your new scissors, Rachel.
My new scissors. And these are a gift from a lovely lady called Karen, who was on my retreat, and she came all the way from Boston in USA to Leeds in Yorkshire to come on our sewing retreat. And she brought these in a bag that she had made. There's the bag. Look at that beautiful zip work. She's obviously done Svetlana's classes with us here online. Lovely little bag. And inside she filled it with maple syrups and jams and all sorts of things. Lovely.
What's a lovely present. Really, really nice.
Really nice.
Okay. So I chose a heart because it's quite a nice, easy shape. And what I've done is I've just bonded. It's 2 pieces of felt and I've just bonded with a bit of bond web the heart on top of the others. And yes, it's not going to move, it's going to be stuck there. But a nice way of actually just finishing it off and actually securing it would be to do buttonhole stitch or blanket stitch all the way round the edge of this shape, which is quite nice. I mean, the shape could be a triangle, it could be a circle, it could be anything, it could be resembling something else, but we've chosen a heart. So again, start with a nice piece of thread with a knot in the end. So we're going to have a knot in the end.
Oh, let's do me knot. Let's do me knot. Oh, we've got some people online. Woo! We've got,
are they all watching?
So Annie has said, "Hi guys, hi Annie.
Hi Annie.
How you doing, Annie?" And Julian Fishweek, bless her, Fishweek, one of our regulars here at Crafty Monkeys, has said, "Hi everyone," and she said, "You've got a show." Yeah, I'm doing my best.
You're having a go, doing well. So just a little sort of like an idea of what to think about when you're going to do a shape is, I think we'd naturally want to start our stitching either in this dip here by at the top of the heart, or maybe on the edge. My advice would be, don't do that, because what you've got to do, if you're going to do blanket stitch all the way around, even if you have to refurbish your needle, you want to finish off equally and almost look like, when you look at the decoration around the heart, it looks like you have where no one can find out where you started, where you finished. So I would always say, start at the side, start down here. So to start at the side, what you're going to do is, with your needle coming in from the back, you're going to just bring the needle to the edge between where the heart edge meets the white fabric. So I'm just bringing it through there. So if you can see it's going to pull through there.
And it's not on the red, it's just on the edge of the white. Okay,
it's just on the edge. So it's just coming through on the edge, and you can pull that through, and you've got the knot behind. Okay, again, we're working from right to left. So what you do is, you've got your thumb, and your thumb, you can use your thumb to just pull the thread that you come down, take it to the left and hold it down with your thumb. Okay, so now where you've come through, you're going to then come along the edge, and you're coming along. We'll still stick to 1 centimeter, almost just like 1 centimeter along and 1 centimeter down, and we're going to put the needle through. So this time the needle's going through the heart fabric. It's not coming directly underneath that hole, it's coming to the side. And then you're going to then come in, the needle's coming through to the outside, but then you're going to just bring that needle up to the edge. So if I show you on camera, if we come right up here, can you see that the needle has gone down through? It's underneath, you can just see it, but it's come up, over the top of that thread. So it's over the top of that thread, the thread's behind it, so that when I pull the needle through, I've got my first loop. And
is that thread over? Am I right there pulling that through now? Just doesn't matter, does it? You
need the thread underneath. Hang on. All right. That's it. You've got it. Oh, hang on. Okay. Right, Rachel, see what's happened? What I want you to do with your needle is just take the needle and just go under that loop from the top, not that way, down. That's it. No, the other way. Point the needle down, come round that way. That's it. And you're going to go down in that direction, down underneath that loop, but not sew it in. You're going to go underneath it. So almost like just pushes underneath it.
Just show me.
You're not sewing it. So you're going to catch that thread, because you've actually...
I'm catching it like that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You're perfect. Right, now, push that loop to your left. Push the thread, this loose piece of thread to your left, to the left. There you are. You've got your first one. But the thread should sort of be sitting on the edge of that heart up there. That's it. That's it. Right. Now, start again. So you were holding the thread. Yes. You've got your thumb on the thread, and now you move again. Yeah. You move a centimetre across and down and through and up through the other side with the needle. But the thread goes under the tip of that needle, not over the top of it, underneath. So when you come out, your needle's poking out underneath it.
Thread goes underneath.
Underneath. And now when you put it through, it should work. Yeah? Yes. Yes. So now we can do a few more around that edge. So we're going to go round, keep going round, all the way round. Just remembering that the thread has to go under that needle point.
Thread goes there.
And we're trying to keep it as neat as possible. as we go round, as we decorate around that heart. So it's like a decorative stitch. It's also practical. It's holding the heart down. I know we've glued it down with Bonder web, but also the stitching around the edge will hold it down. Now, if you were...
Wait a minute, I've forgotten now. Right, you hold it with your finger,
your
then
thumb.
you go like that.
Yes.
Then you do this.
Come through.
Yeah.
That's it. Come up through the out. Yeah.
And then I just pull. This now is like that now.
No.
No.
No. Take it back and go. And then the thread doesn't go to the right. You pull the thread behind that needle. That loose thread goes. No, the other way, Rachel. Not that way. That's it. That way. That's it.
Yes. 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 Okay. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Once you get it into your brain, it's there, isn't it? But
but any repetitive stitch, you know, once you practice it, you know, this is why it's meditative. This is why it should be relaxing. I know, because you're learning for the first time, you think, oh my God, I'm not getting it right. But once you practice the stitch and keep remembering, and you're just in your brain, you're not thinking about anything else. You're just thinking, right, behind the needle, pull the needle through. I'm measuring the needle distance. So you're looking. So your brain is now connecting just with the sewing. And after a while, it will become quite, well, hopefully, it should become quite sort of just calming.
yeah, hopefully, eventually, I think so.
Eventually. How are you doing?
I think I'm all right.
I think also another thing you need to remember is you don't want to pull your stitches really, really tight. You've got to leave some, I wouldn't leave them loose and slack, but you've got to leave some, you know, just a little bit sort of looser, not pulled up really tight, because otherwise it would just all start to distort the shape.
I'm not leaving enough. I'm not going deep enough on my thing, but it's all right. I can correct that. I can correct.
Well, what you should do is, what do you mean you don't think you're going deeper? Well, you're not doing the stitches down enough.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's getting that confidence to go further down with them, but it's fine. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
It is looking like a blanket stitch.
It is. It is. And I think you're doing, you know, that's looking, and you can see we're going round the edge of the heart. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my thread, because I've got right to the end of my thread. So I'm going to put the last one through. And I'm just going to pull up, just going to do the last bit of thread that I've got. So at the moment, I've almost got like a completed blanket stitch up in this far corner. So then I'm just going to go back in again to the same hole that I've come out from. So I'm going to go back, so I'm going up behind, and I'm just going to knot it from the back, so it doesn't pull through. So it's just knotted from the back like so. And I'm just going to knot that thread.
What did I do on that one? Did something wrong on that one. Did I do that the wrong way? Hang on.
I don't know. I wasn't watching you. What was you doing?
I don't know what I've done. I think I've just split my thread or something. I think
you might have done.
I've sewn into my thread.
So you've sewn through the thread.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. Which looks a mess now. Hang on.
Well, what I would do if that's happened.
Hang on. Wait a minute. I might be able to. Hang on a second. Go on. What would you do? I would take
it away out of the eye of my needle. So you've just got the loose thread, and then pull the thread back one space or two spaces before you had gone through the split the thread, and then you could correct it. So you can once you've stitched, especially with hand stitching, it's much easier to undo hand stitching than it is with machine stitching. So it's so easy to go back.
Hang on. So what I'm going to do is I need to.
That's it.
Hang on.
Now you can either use your needle to do that, or you could use, you know, just like the ends of your scissors. You're not cutting it, but you could just to pull it through. That's it. Okay.
Right, and then now why is that not? Because I'm pulling. There we go.
That's it. Right.
Okay.
Hurrah. So what you need to do, you'll probably need to smooth all those threads that have come through, smooth them all down with it, just run your finger down them. And then probably you'll find that the end will just need a slight little snip just to sharpen up the end again so that you can thread it well.
Yes.
Perfect. So that's good because you know, something went wrong. We've then found a way to get it to go back.
Yeah.
That's looking quite nice.
I'm actually going to take out, I think that stitch was wrong. So I'm just going to take that one out. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so you can pick up from where you start. That's it. Lovely. Okay, so with mine, what I've done is, so I've finished almost like I've got a finished blanket stitch here. So I've knotted from behind. So I need to pick up again from where I started. So I've got a new piece of thread and I'm going to come in from behind where that knot is and I'm just going to come out. So come out to the other side. So in fact, it just looks like from the front, it looks like it's a continuation of what I was doing, which is what we want. We don't want it to look completely like a start and stop place. So you've got to make it look almost like an invisible point where you come through. And then we're going to carry on round. So we're going to just carry on going round that shape. It is slightly different doing a shape, isn't it, Rachel, than just along the edge of a square piece?
It is. And what I'm finding is, you know, that yours is just deeper than mine. It's like you can see the edges of mine is not going in as much as yours. So I guess having that confidence to go further into the heart, because you think you're going quite far in.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No, you're not going in enough. You can. Now, I have seen something online where people actually put a couple of little marks, little black lines on their fingers. So if I took a pen,
yeah,
and I just put like maybe a couple of black lines, one there on my finger and one there.
That's a good idea.
And then you can use that. So that's like your distancing. So then you can use that when you're holding the thread. You can look at that distance, think, that's the distance that I want, and then replicate that when you're doing your sewing.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right, because, you know, to visually look and see where each little stitch should go, that's not necessarily easy. So you can make just a couple of little marks on your thumb so that while you're going around, you can see where the next stitch is. So you can use them as like a little guide on your thumb.
Yeah. And then you could put two little eyes and then
yes, you could. I mean, if you find that you do tend to go all a little bit, it goes a little bit awry, and it does take practice to get it all looking neat and tidy. What you could use is just a fabric marker, and you could do a series of little dots, which were your starting points around the piece that you were going to do the blanket stitch around. So there are different ways, little cheaty ways, but then it's not cheating. You've got to start somewhere. And as confidence grows and your eye and your coordination with the stitching comes into play, you'll find that it just automatically, you manage to get it as you want it. So we're working quite big here, but you can obviously, like I said, you could start and you could go really small. As you get more confident, you could applique other little shapes and things and more complicated sort of applique shapes onto things and stitch around them, but with much smaller stitches. Now, if you've got a sewing machine, have a little look and see, because there is a what is almost like an automatic blanket stitch on some of those more modern machines. So you could almost have, you don't have to do this by hand on all applique. There is sometimes there's a little blanket stitch that you can use. And I think actually, Rachel, wasn't Nicholas Ball using that?
Yes, he is. Yes, now Nicholas Ball is doing a machine. He's doing a stuffed applique class, and it is with a machine blanket stitch. And I would never have guessed, because I thought that it was a hand-stitched
exactly. And do you know, a little secret there is, yes, machines do the blanket stitch. But when you make, and it does look quite handmade, it does look like it's hand stitched. But if you mix machine stitches with hand stitches, especially the blanket stitch, it all looks like, in the end, it starts like, my God, that's all hand stitched, where it's not. You've mixed it together. So I know that Nicholas is going to be using that in his next class. So that would be really interesting. So if you can, you might be able to show off to him and actually say that I can do hands.
I can do hand blanket stitch. Well, if anybody's interested in that class, by the way, if anybody's watching before I don't know when it is. I think it's October. I want to say 18th. Oh, needles come on thread. I think it's October the 18th. If anybody's watching,
Right.
well, then you could go to the website, CraftyMonkies.com, and book that class to learn how to do improv stuffed applique with that machine, with the blankets. Do you know what?
Brilliant.
Mine was done, but I might stop there because otherwise we're going to be another
So
hour.
I've got where I've got to in my, oh, that's brilliant, Rachel. You know, that's pretty good, isn't it? For starters, you've never done that before.
Of course, I'm pulling it to pieces and say, look at yours, mine's rubbish. But, you know, for starters, and the thing is, Gary, that you can see here, I started to get more confident with it on this side.
Yeah.
You know, these were all tentative little things, but this now has started to become more confident. So that's what happens when you practice. But once again, as I've said to you, Gary, about these little Friday sessions, this is not going to win a prize at QuiltCon. But although I might enter it, you never know, but it might be a piece of modern art. They might just go, that is the best thing we've ever seen. But it's actually just a really lovely meditative process. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. We're just having fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Juliana said that. Hello, Julian. She said, don't you find hand sewing therapeutic, Gary? I've recently started EPP. I find it so active.
Yes. Now with that EPP and, you know, people have like little stash of hexies, don't they? Little box of all their hexagons cut out, and then they just sit there in a meeting, or you know, we might be doing a class, and they'll be doing just stitching their little hexes together, and while they've got 5 minutes, and it's lovely. And I mean, with those, once you've got the practice of actually putting them all together, it just time flies by. You could be sat there watching telly, maybe listening to something on the radio, and then also doing a few little bits of hand sewing and things like that.
Yes.
What I want to show you just before we do finish is I've got to a point where I'm going to finish now. So I've got to the gap. Now I don't know, this is more luck than judgment, I think. And I should have said, what you want to do is actually end up with the last stitch that is equally distanced between the two. So when you look at this, you can't see where you stopped and started. Now that does take a little bit, that again takes practice, because you'll think, oh, it's not quite, you know, if your distance is a centimetre between all of them, the next one might be, you can see this is where I'm going to finish in the middle there. Yeah. It might be that one might be narrower than the other, but for some reason, I don't know, it's going to be exactly how it's supposed to be. So we're just going to, I've got a really short bit of thread left here, but we're going to try and attempt to just finish this off. So I'm going to do my last stitch, which is going to be placed between the middle of those two. I'm going to come up through the top like so. I'm going to come up where I started. So I'm coming up exactly where I've started and coming up through like that. So you can't really see where I started and I finished. And then I'm going to come back through the others. I'm going to go back almost where I came through, but just to the side. So I can come through to the back. And then I'm going to just knot off at the back. And let's see how near I've got to where I started. Does it look, can you see where I started and I finished? I'm just doing a quick little knot on the back so it doesn't all fall through. Trim it with my scissors.
Lovely.
That is there. So it's just a little, I can just see a little bit. That's fine. I'm happy with that. That's okay. So that's
very nice.
Like that. But it's also nice as a decorative edge. And especially if anybody's got any of those old blankets. You remember we used to have blankets on the bed before we had a duvet.
Yes.
You'll have a look at the edge of the blanket. Quite often the blanket is finished with lovely big stitches around like that. So yeah, lovely way.
It is a lovely stitch, actually, the blanket stitch. I think it's really underrated because it is a very nice stitch to do. It is really easy, although I've made it look quite difficult. But it is therapeutic, and it is a very strong stitch as well. So I think it is a nice stitch to do. Yeah. But once again, you know, this is the beauty of these little videos, because I looked at that thing there, I'd be going, which way does that? I don't understand. And then is that going through? It's like, which, you know, so it's really good to see it, you know, in person and follow someone's hands. If you are a complete beginner, you know, it's a really nice way to learn, isn't it? So hopefully, if we have helped one person in the world achieve a blanket stitch,
I'm happy with that.
Our job. We have done our job, Gary. Yes, lovely,
you know,
really lovely.
The age of the internet and using Zoom and YouTube and everything like that, you know, this almost like we may not have our grandmothers left anymore to sit next to and say, show us how to do it. But with this, we can almost like bring, you know, I'll be a granddad, maybe. I'm your granddad and showing you how to do it, or, you know, and
well, I ain't going to be a grandma. I ain't going to be the grandma here.
I'm far too young to be a grandfather.
Well, let's hope the Queen is looking down on this YouTube
Yes.
program. Right, I'm sure she is, from her cloud, going, "That's good. That's very good. I like that." Yes, hopefully, one day maybe King Charles will award us for our services to the sewing community.
Exactly.
And I would say to him, "I wish I had met your mother. Not that I don't mind meeting you, Charles." And then I'd be digging myself out of the hole.
Yes.
Well, lovely, Gary. Thank you so much for a very nice meditative afternoon of sewing. I will continue my sewing, and then it will go on my wall of fame behind here with my other things. And let's have a look. Someone else has made a comment. Sarah will be proud of you, Sabrosa says. Yes, she would be. I think, is that my Sarah? Sarah Payne. I think she'd be proud of me. She would be proud of me. And anybody who knows me will be proud of me, because they'll be thinking, sorry, what's going on? But they need to look at the other YouTube channel, the YouTube things that we've done, because I've done French knots and all sorts. Yeah. Right, lovely, Gary. I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
What's coming up next week?
Okay. Now, Rachel, I was watching, and I don't know if other people have been watching some of those little clips from the retreat. And did I see you do some free motion embroidery? You did. And that was true. Basically, it was in Janet Clare's class, and she was over talking to another student, and this lady who I'd been talking to called Jane Mitchell, who was just a lovely lady. They were all lovely ladies, but she was a sweetheart. And she came to me, she said, "Rachel, can you teach me anything about free motion?" And I looked at her and laughed loudly. And strangely, she was sat with Karen, who gave me these scissors from America. And Karen said, "Oh, go on, Rachel, give it a go." So I said, "Well, I have learned a little bit actually from the classes." So I sat there. And I said, it's all about, it's almost like you have to limber up before you go, and you have to you have to relax. And I said, I think you're gripping onto the fabric. I said, and then I was writing my name, and I said, look, what you're doing is you're sort of moving the fabric in the shape of your name. You're not trying to get the needle to do it. You're moving. And it was amazing. And I wrote my name. She was like, "How did you do that?" So I said, "Go on, you can do it now." She said, "You could not move the fabric." She was like, "It's not moving, it's sticking." So I did feel for a moment, wow, okay. But I did help her. And then she said, "Oh, wait a minute. Whoa." And then we both sort of sat there going, "Whoa, come on, Jane. Whoa." Brilliant. Yes, wow. I did. So I don't know if there's anything I can teach you, but I just thought it'd be really good knowing that I thought I'd caught that perhaps you were doing a little bit of free motion embroidery. So it's good that you've signed your name, because I think that's a really good way to get started. And maybe we could just try and do a little bit of drawing, because I like to draw with free motion embroidery rather than just creating patterns. So it will be quite nice to do a little bit of drawing with some free motion. Just really go on. It's just going to be a simple image, just going to be a very simple image. Now you've got your sewing machine, and I know that your sewing machine is capable of doing free motion embroidery. And in fact, we'll talk about that most machines are. Even the older ones you can do it, but we do need that little embroidery foot. Have you got a little darning stroke embroidery foot? I don't think I have. Well, okay. I don't know, it might have come with we'll check it out, Gary. We'll check it out. It probably works. They don't necessarily come automatically when you buy the machine, not unless you're going to go for a high-end machine, which is maybe like a Hertzgovana or a Bernina, which is specifically for embroidery, and you might get a nice array of feet for those. But what I will do is I will send you a photograph or send you a picture of one that you can get. And I know you've got a local haberdashery shop, so you can just pop in and get one in the haberdashery shop there. So next week, so that you'll be ready. And then we'll get your machine, because you didn't do it on your machine, you did it on someone else's machine. Is that right? I did it on someone else's machine, but I nearly left my machine in the sewing retreat. I cleared out the 2 rooms entirely, and then I realized I'd left my board on the top room. So I went up to the top room to get the board, and there in the very corner was my little machine, weeping, crying, because his mummy had left. Don't leave me alone. I know. And I was like, oh. So yes, I have got my machine. So yeah, that's fine. I will get one of those feet, because I know the lady that she was using a foot that had like a circle around it. Yes, you can get ones which are like a little circle. In fact, have I got with me? I did have me little. If you just 1 second, I'll
1
just
second only. And Juliana said, "Oh, bless you both, and thank you." The same to you, Julianne. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Growth.
So there's different ones, and I think
Annie?
I know that yours will want you. You can just have a universal one, really, but they do. So this is the. I don't know if you can see that. Probably on this screen down here.
I've got that foot.
Have you got that bounces up and down?
Yeah, I've got it.
Wow.
I saw it today. You just talk about that for a second, Gary, while I grab mine.
This is the foot. It's basically really it just fits on. So you take your normal presser foot off, and this one just fits on to your bar that goes down, your foot bar that goes down, and basically it just hits as the needle goes up and down. So does this foot. So it just almost like bounces up and down on the fabric. So that's a sort of universal one that you can get, so like almost like made from plastic with a little bit down there. I've got some other ones in my little tin because I do carry a few, because when I do classes, quite often people have got all different types of machines. So they've probably got a machine that probably needs to have that. So you can get one. Oh, that is it, Rachel. You've got the same one as me. So you've got this one. And then you can have a pure metal one like that one. So that's a metal one, and that does exactly the same job. And I would say probably that's just a little bit more durable. That one is a little bit more durable there. So they've got, like, if you have a look, they've got quite big sort of like circular feet on the bottom. That one's just like a sort of a crescent. That one's like a plastic oval. And then you've got this one, which is like the tiniest, like the tiniest little hole there. And again, that one just bounces up and down as well. So they do come in slightly different shapes and sizes. These ones are universal ones. So these tend to work on most machines. That one's upside down. Let me just put it up that way, is much better. That one just works on the machine, and we can see these again next week. But if you want to be prepared, or you want to come along and just, even if you just start to, I'll talk you through attaching this to the machine and what you have to do to the machine to get it ready for free motion embroidery. So if anyone that wants to come along live, bring their feet along and do that, so we can do that. But anyway, I think we are ready for next week. Then we'll be fine. So I think that would work out to Friday the 16th. Are we live? Can we do live on Friday? Yes,
we can go live. Friday the 16th is the date.
Yes.
It's a date, next Friday.
So
I will be a little bit older. I will be a bit older because it's my birthday on the 13th this week.
Oh, is it?
So yeah, I'll be a fraction older. But that makes me 36, I think, Gary.
Right, yeah.
At least when I filtered my face, it makes me 36.
Yeah, anyway. I was wondering, did people just walk by you at the retreat and didn't even recognise who you were in real life?
And we're ending the broadcast. Goodbye. But it was funny because one lady before had said, "I can't wait to meet you. You're also saying you're always so glamorous." And I went, "Oh, wait until you see me on the real day." And actually, she met me as I was trying to set up 2 rooms and had been on my hands and knees in my shorts and white trainers, hair and a big ponytail, looking absolutely dishevelled. And I said, "You see, I told you." She couldn't answer truthfully. She went, "No, you still look glamorous." Bless her. Yes, I think people were slightly shocked. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Fabulous.
Oh, well, lovely, Gary. Thank you so much. And thank you to our lovely YouTubers for watching, and for our people who commented, and anybody else who watches this after. Please do make sure that you hit the buttons. You will see the subscribe and the like. If you like our video, it helps us to get into the little into the little stream and go for a swim, the algorithm stream, and help other sewers like you to get this content. And also, if you hit the subscribe, then of course you will always be notified when we are doing things. If you hit the bell, that's when you get the notification that says Crafty Monkeys are live. It comes through on your phone, and then you just go, "Oh, don't miss it," and click. But at least subscribe, that would be wonderful. And do have a look at our other content, because we have got so much stuff on there. Brilliant. Lovely, Gary. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody else. I shall now endeth the streameth. Are we ready? Goodbye. And we have ended.